do me this one favor. Show me in the New Testament, because Paul wasn't in the Old Testament, show me in the New Testament where Paul offered them a Bible or offered them a tract. Did Paul ever say, well, here's a Bible, here's my preaching. I'm preaching from. When did Paul say, I'm preaching from the Scriptures? When did Paul say, I'm preaching from the Old Testament? Barnabas proved that Jesus was the Christ, using the Old Testament to the Jews. The Jews already had the Scriptures. Barnabas didn't say, well, here's the Bible. He says, well, the Scriptures say this, and this is the fulfillment of it. And he was reasoning with them and using logic. There's that two prongs there: logic and spirituality, logic and faith. Seeing what we see, we know there's a God. And we deduce things from logic, from the Scriptures or whatever, but we have to be careful about that because God sees everything and we don't. But Paul did not say Scriptures. The Bereans searched the Scriptures to see whether what Paul said was true. Paul did not preach from the Scriptures. You understand that, right? The Bereans in Acts 17, Paul did not preach from the Scriptures. He said, this is what's going on. And here, you can look it up in the Bible. You can look it up in the Old Testament. Look up what whether I said is true. Paul never handed anybody a Bible, as far as we know, not in the Scriptures. So it's pretty ironic. If the Scriptures are so important, why didn't Paul offer them the Scriptures? It's because the gospel is more important than the Scriptures. I don't know. I don't know what people's problem is with this. The gospel is more important than the Scriptures. The Holy Spirit, which Peter said was God. God is more important than a book. The Muslims have books. The Jews have a book. The Jews had more than a book at one time. There's character, there's morality. There's not just adhering to a list of rules that you really don't adhere to. It's a prayer, it's a relationship with God. Jesus spent his time in prayer. He did not spend his time reading the Scriptures. Paul preached Jesus. He did not only read the Scriptures, he spent time in prayer.